We used to have dumplings all the time. This is definitely a dish that takes me back to simpler times. Hi, my name's Helen. I'm a chef tutor here at the Waitrose Parsnips Cookery School. Today I'm making a root vegetable casserole with herb dumplings. This is a fantastic one-pot dish. It's really nice and simple to make. The link to the full recipe is in the description. This is such a great winter warmer. You guys are going to love it. So I'm going to start off by preparing my vegetables. We want to cut these up so they're nice and chunky because they're going to go in the casserole for about 15 minutes on the hob and then 20 minutes in the oven, so we want to know that we've got some nice texture to our veg when they come back out. And I'm just going to slice up my garlic now. So I want to slice this nice and fine. In addition to this, I've already got my carrots and parsnips chopped up, ready to go into the casserole. If you wanted to switch it around a little bit, you could put some sweet potatoes in here, maybe a bit of turnip or even some fennel. I think that would work really, really nicely, but just keep the overall quantity of vegetables the same. So I'm now going to heat up some oil in my casserole dish. We want about a tablespoon to begin with. And now this has had a chance to warm up, I'm going to go in with my leeks and the garlic that I've sliced up as well. We'll give everything a stir together, and then we're just going to let these things cook for a couple of minutes. What we really want is for the garlic to infuse the oil with its lovely flavour, and that will carry the flavour of garlic throughout the rest of the dish. So make sure that you're on hand to stir it, and if you see it starting to go a little bit golden, get ready to throw the rest of those vegetables in, because that will really slow the cooking process down. I'm also going to add in a couple of sprigs of fresh rosemary. I'm just going to leave them attached to the sprig. That way you can kind of eat around them or take them out at the end, but they're going to infuse all their flavour into the dish. So if you didn't have rosemary, you could add some fresh thyme at this stage as well, or even a little bit of oregano. That would be a really nice substitution. This is a vegetarian dish, but you could easily incorporate some meat into it if you wanted to. I think what I would do is use up some leftover roasted chicken, just tear it into nice shreds and add it right before you put the casserole into the oven so it'll warm through nicely. After a couple of minutes of cooking, the carrots are looking really beautiful, bright orange, and I can smell everything's getting going. So it's time to add in the Italian quick cook 5 grains. So this is a really great combo of spelt, durum wheat, barley, rice and oats. It's a really nice way of adding a bit of fibre into your meal. So if you didn't have this, you could substitute with another grain that's going to cook quickly, like some rice, or you could even use a sachet of pre-cooked grains or lentils, something like that. Next up, we're going to add in a tin of chopped tomatoes, and then we're going to add in a couple of tablespoons of red pesto. This is a fantastic way to add some seasoning into your casserole. So next up, I'm going to add in some stock. I'm using Waitrose Cooks Ingredients vegetable stock, and I think it's really important that you choose a fresh stock for this dish. This is the one that I would always cook with at home because there's no salt added to it. We're going to use about 400 mils in this recipe, so we'll leave a little bit behind so you can keep whatever you've got left over for future recipes like veggie lasagnas or soups. So now we just need to bring it up to the boil, and once it boils, we're going to leave it to simmer for about 15 minutes. So during that time, we can crack on with our dumplings. So I've got my self-raising flour in a bowl, really important because that's what's going to help them to puff up when they go into the oven. I'm going to add the vegetable suet to this. We're going to pop in a pinch of salt, and now I need to chop up some parsley and I'll add that into the bowl as well. If you didn't want to use parsley, you could use some chives, just chop them up really finely as well. So into the dry ingredients, we're going to add some water. You want about 4 to 5 tablespoons, just enough to bring it into a nice soft dough. So we'll mix that through briskly. If we need to add a little bit more, we can. So bring it all together by hand, and then we're going to divide this up into 8 portions. So I like to start off dividing it up in half, and then into 4, and then into 8, and that way they're going to be roughly even sized. And then you want to get a little bit of flour on your hands and just roll them up into nice little balls. They don't have to be perfect. And now my vegetables have been simmering away for about 15 minutes. I'm going to give them a final stir, and then it's time to turn the heat off and get the dumplings in here. Space them out nice and evenly around the outside, and I'll pop one in the center. We'll pop the lid on, and that will allow them to steam and puff up really nicely. And this just needs to go into the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes until all the vegetables are nice and tender and the dumplings are cooked through. Now my casserole's had about 25 minutes in the oven. The dumplings are perfectly cooked. The veg is all really nice and tender, so it's time to serve some up. So it's so hearty, and it'll be really nice and filling too. So as soon as you've served it up, you want to tuck in straight away while it's nice and hot. So I'm going to have a try of mine now. It's so comforting. The flavour of the red pesto is really, really nice coming through there to give it that extra body. and the dumpling is just so fluffy and delicious. I'm sure you guys are gonna love it too. So there you go, that is my super easy, really delicious vegetable casserole with herby dumplings. So it's definitely a family classic.